Trackside Lounge, episode 25 in slightly different surroundings, but more on that later. It's a pretty impressive place to be, chaps. But even more impressive, and we got to start out with this one. Liam Lawson.
I'm Liam Lawson. I'm Liam Lawson. You're jealous that I'm quicker. Here's my middle finger, Liam Lawson. I'm Liam Lawson.
Finishes the Grand Prix in the points again, so that's 3 Grand Prix in a row. But ahead of Max Verstappen.
Ahead of he was the best of the bulls.
Yeah.
Best of the bulls.
How good is that?
I mean, Budapest is always a pretty, it's a cool circuit. It's one of those ones, fast and ferocious, couple of hairy chicanes. It's sort of got something for everyone, you know, and yeah, to see Liam doing as well as he's doing. I mean, we mentioned before about he's still sort of island hopping around all these circuits that he's never raced before. Yeah. You know, he's never been to Hungary. He's never been to China. He's never been to, you know, so the fact that he's now in a car that he's familiar-ish.
That's the thing,
the Red Bull.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's being comfortable in that car, getting used to it, and it's starting to pay dividends. And I think that's great for his career, particularly when you look at, like you say, he was the best of the bulls, you know. So they're going to have to go through some massive changes in the 26th season, and I think it will work out well for Liam Lawson. But we must also talk about the Ferrari that qualified on pole, but that wasn't driven by Lewis Hamilton. No, in fact, Lewis Hamilton in practice, what were the words he used?
Useless. Hopeless, just a lot of self-deprecation, to be fair.
And I'll tell you what, if he's feeling hopeless and useless, there's about, I don't know, from here to probably Botswana, a line of people who'd love to jump in that car who feel not useless and hopeless and saying, wait, if you're hopeless and useless, get out, I'll drive. Because why would you use those terminologies? Hey, one thing I've got to also shout out too, and I'm guilty of, being a bit anti-Stroll. You know, because, you know, daddy's money and all this sort of stuff in the Aston.
I think there's a lot of people
Alonso
like that.
got 5th and Stroll got 7th. And I'm starting to think, you know, I'm probably guilty of doing to Lance Stroll what people are doing to Liam Lawson. But I know Lance's daddy's paying for it. But I still don't recognise his talent. Now he's got my attention. And Fernando, well done to him as well for 5th. But again, well done to the Aston team.
Going to turn left here out of that as soon as you mentioned Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll, who is the team principal of Aston Martin, also owns Aston Martin cars. Aston Martin cars are selling the F1 team. So is Lance Stroll's dad going to just step away from it?
Potentially, who knows?
We'll
With results like this, things might change.
Yeah, well, anytime a team gets double points, that's always a good day, isn't it? So, look, and again, they have their race. I mean, it was a fairly straightforward race, wasn't it? As far as strategy, there was no real curveballs. There was no real weather event. It did look a bit gloomy and overcast. You sort of questioned if there might be a bit of rain, but ultimately that didn't come to pass, and it was pretty much just hards and mediums. I think most of the teams, it was a one-stop, and you know,
and that's where Piastri tried. He tried the 2-stop, and the team they were communicating through the race, saying, "Hey, look, why don't we try a 2-stop? We might be able to get Norris on this one." And good on him. And then it got to a point where towards the end of the race, with fresher tyres, he was catching his teammate, and he did the big dive on one of the, I don't know which turn 68 or something, and he does this big dive bomb, locks up the tyres, and then the McLaren teams are going, "Hey, don't do that. That's a bit off."
Yeah. Just be a bit careful, boys. Be a bit careful.
So, but well done to them, and well done to Liam getting some points in that one. And I just question Lewis Hamilton. I mean, to me, it's calling himself useless, hopeless, all this sort of crap. It's just a cry for attention.
It's dramatic because when he was having it really good, it was, really, really, his highs are very high and then his lows are very low. He doesn't really seem to just have it was it was either really great or it was really trash.
But I mean, we've got a journal on the end of the table. I mean, you guys know about how to word things in a positive way, and they've got to keep it PC. You come dead last, but they're supposed to say, "Hey, we enjoyed at least getting the finish."
Oh, and we learned things. We learned things about tyre degradation. We learned this and that and the other. But to just come out and go, "Oh, I'm useless," no, you're actually not, mate. You just haven't got your head in the game. And that's where it is. Yeah, that's what it is. And so everything that people accused Liam Lawson of, are they going to accuse Lewis Hamilton of the same sort of thing? I bet there'll be a lot of pundits don't.
Well, now we head into the summer break, of course, and teams will be sort of, we might well see a few upgrades come into play. Obviously, the drivers get a bit of time off to sort of get their heads right. So, a lot can happen over the summer break. But, anyway, it was cool to sort of finish that pre-break string of Grand Prix on a fairly good high, especially, like you say, 3 in a row for Liam.
I think
finishes,
that's great.
so that's awesome. And then, just what happens for the rest of the year, knowing that we do have major technical changes for 26 as well. So how many teams completely sidestep this rest of the year and they focus on 26?
Yep.
Build
the
a
new
better car for the
powertrains
next year.
coming
Exactly.
in. Yeah.
Exactly. So, anyway.
While we're on it, Brendon Leitch got second at Imola. Another Kiwi doing incredibly well. And it's like Kiwis that are flying a little bit under the radar. I mean, because the spotlight shines so bright on Liam at the moment. And Scott Dixon coughing up $1 million to a charity in the US. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that's pretty cool of him. It's called the House of Hope. It's a shelter for street kids, and it's also going to be getting them involved in various sports. I don't think necessarily motor racing, but just getting them into some sort of sports that they can do and get out there and do something. But and that's huge for him. That's of his own accord as well. And he's thrown in $1 million. Now, I think there's probably going to be fair that some of his charitable friends around him are probably say, hey, look, if you chuck in $1 million, I'll chuck in something. And I think that's going to be a snowball effect.
Yeah.
But nice that it's come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's something that's obviously he's done well. And he's wanting to give back in $1 million US, so $1 million US. That's what 1.6 New Zealand. That's huge money. And
Is that including the 15% tariff that we have to do
I'm
now?
sure there's got to be a tariff, ask Donald. But that's really cool of him. And again, it's like you say, as far as it goes overseas, it's been a bit of a quieter one there. But a good time for him to really shine and show a bit of charity. And it's motor racing. It's a bit of charity. And guys will do well.
Just quickly, the latest on SVG, not so good on the oval. He actually had in the champ. Well, they're not the champ cars. Are they the champ cars? Little tiny things. Legend cars. He had a great time. He got his first win on an oval in legend cars. He was having a great time with that. So on the oval, he crashed out. It was, if you've seen the video for it, it's a pretty spectacular drift. It looks massively impressive.
All on his own too. It's not like he was pushed. It's not like he tangled. I think he finished the first stage 21st or something.
Yeah.
And he was sort of citing a few grip issues. He just couldn't quite. Well, I know. But and then he just ended up putting it into the fence all on his own. And
it was a tight little circuit too, so grip does become an issue if you're carrying a lot of speed around the corner. It just lets go at the end.
So that's Iowa, I believe.
But I got to say, it looked great. There was this and you thought, that's what SVG does. He does these massive slides, a lot of smoke and that sort of thing. So at least he made it look good. So I'm pretty pleased with that one.
If you're gonna crash, do it really well, And he doesn't often crash SVG. Let's be honest. I think the repair bill over the season on any car he's driven has been very, very small, if anything. The old bump up the bum they do on their things, but that was spectacular. And there's a lot of smoke. So in one respect, he'll be upset the car's damaged and he didn't do so well. Another one will be going, at least I try. Maybe it's fourth gear, $8,000.
Like he says, every time he's out there, he's learning something new about the car and learning about the type of racing, because it is a different animal. I mean, racing on those ovals is a different kind of thing. I remember, and I just thought about this the other day, when I was about that big, my uncle in England had a mate who worked on a NASCAR team, and this is like in the 80s. And he said, one of the most amazing things you'll ever, if you crawl up to the bottom of the fence, when they go past on the corners, there is this massive wave of wind that comes off, because these things are hauling ass, and you just get this just an amazing amount of pressure. He said, and that's what tends to suck the cars into the wall. They sucks them into each other. If you're in front, you're lucky. If you're behind, that's where all the drafting stuff comes in. And of course, the more aerodynamics that work on that, it's a whole different thing if you're not used to it.
It's so easy to forget, not so much forget, overlook just how much is involved with oval racing. When you're doing 200 miles an hour, inches from other cars, and it's not just thinking about the airflow over your own car, but also the cars around you. And like you say, what that means for drafting and turbulence and all that sort of thing too. I actually really enjoy racing ovals, but I know it can be like a bit dull to watch. Like I don't know that I'd necessarily go to a NASCAR race like an oval.
Oh shit, I would.
But it would be cool. Like if you've seen videos before of people that have gone to Talladega or Daytona, they're standing right by the. There was one. Actually, it was a big American guy, and he had his drink and he had his snacks and all that. And they go past, and the lid on his drink flies off.
Yeah, flies off.
Spills, half of his Gatorade or whatever the heck he was drinking. But
Gatorade.
But look, it's easy to sound check. There we go. There we go.
Unlike Gatorade.
But so like it's easy to overlook just how much is going on with these guys. You know,
Yeah.
like you say, you're not just thinking about your own car, but you're also thinking, okay, that guy, what's the air going? Yeah, the airflow over his car. How does that affect me? How does that affect the guy behind me? And you know, I think a period there in NASCAR, they actually had radio chat. You could actually talk to some of the other drivers.
Oh, really?
Because I remember in the 2010s. And I'll have to fact check this one, but I know it happened at least once. Some of the drivers could actually communicate with each other. You know, Dale, it's Chuck. I'm going to bump you on this turn. And,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm pretty sure you got that from Talladega Nights.
No,
Yeah,
it was pretty,
let's shake and bake, boys. Let's shake and bake.
I'll go back and find the clip, but I'm pretty sure, at least for a brief period, that they had essentially proximity chat, like a video game.
In front of you, or are you in front of me? Whatever you want. You're going to push me. I don't care. No, we've been planning the same thing for a week. Let's just stick to the plan and see what happens. Hey, Jamie, it's Kyle. You're going to have to be careful pushing me because I got too much bear bond on. 10-4, I'll be careful. Jamie, we got to go get the 42. Kyle, I got to go back and get Juan. We had a deal earlier, okay? Yeah, 10-4. Oh, yeah. Got me, Trevor? Yeah, who's this? Carl. You want me to push you? Better as a pusher, but if you want to, we can do it. No, that's fine. Push that 6 then. I'll figure something else out. Carl. You got anybody work with you? Yeah, I think the 21's good. Okay, I thought he was going with the 6. I just talked to him, but whatever. If you guys work together, that's fine. Carl, is that you? I got you. All right, I'm going to be with you here. Just going to push easy.
Whether that was one of those concepts where they started, you know, using it to abuse other drivers, and you know,
and that's where someone had to put their foot down and say that sort of thing is unacceptable. We just cannot accept that.
One of the things about airflow and about the wind and that off the track takes me to Waikaraka Park. I'm at Waikaraka on the odd occasion, which is good. I'm an odd person. And when you get the winged cars going past, the modifieds, and obviously when the sprint cars sometimes come, if you're standing beside the track, man, you don't just get a bit of wind. You get sandblasted with all the dirt and muck. And you get notice from Western Springs. And the amount of dust from the speed of these things, and they're probably only doing through the corners 120, 130 Ks only. I mean, these are Formula One on dirt. And the amount of wind draft that comes off. And that's, so if they're doing, I'm guessing, let's say 120 kilometres an hour, and you've got these NASCARs going past at 300 kilometres an hour, and these are cars without wings on them per se.
They're actually like a mobile one. Those things are incredible.
Yeah, the car is the wing.
But getting to Waikaraka Park, the development's coming along. There's been some photos just come out recently. Now they've got the sidewalls starting to come up, and it's part of the $11 million spend there from the council. But what I'm really impressed with is not just the progress, the way that they've been served up some foul weather, and whoever the contractors are, no whinging, no moaning, no excuses.
Just getting on with the job.
Done. And I'll tell you, I don't know how they're doing it, because that is a bad water table right beside the sea, and things being done. So hopefully on track for the opening at the end of October, if you know they're able to pin this back. And if the weather comes right, who knows? Maybe they can make up for lost time. I'm sure they're staying on budget. I know they're certainly aiming for the time crunch, and I just say well done to them, because, you know, so often we hear about these developments and about, I'm not saying that it's going to finish on time, I'm not trying to put the kibosh on for it not. But at the moment, the way I'm seeing progress the way it is, I'd say well done to the contractors, whoever they may be. But there's more to come out of Speedway in Auckland, and it's not just Waikaraka Park. Yeah,
it is. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how the big push from the what was the Auckland FC owners, they had a development going into the city council. They dropped out of it. And I actually said at the time, this is a time for the people with the Save Our Speedway to come up with a plan. And lo and behold, during the week, there was a plan that came up. And it's really quite interesting, because you look into account of the one that was going to turn into a concert venue, as well as keep Ponsonby Rugby there. And then there was Ponsonby Rugby wanted to be there. And there was also going to be a development that included a gym and a cafe and all sorts of things that would be used by the community. Well, that's actually a plan that was put together by the Save Our Speedway people as well, that kept Western Springs in there, kept Ponsonby Rugby Club, and had all the facilities like a cafe, a gymnasium, etc., to service the community. And it's funny how that appeared once the city council had to go, the big front runner has fallen out. Yeah. So I was just thinking, as I do, and I used my opinion, and someone has got in touch with me and said, actually, Nik, this plan was always in play. It's just that you didn't know about it. So I want to find out how come we didn't know about it. and that sort of thing. So the Save Our Speedway guys have reached out, and we'll be having them here on the Trackside Lounge, and we're going to have a chat and find out what the real go is. What are the real options for Western Springs? Because, and I did do a little bit of digging, because I said, as far as I'm concerned, I've always said this, it's about getting open wheel racing, and if at the way it was presented, it has to be at Waikaraka Park, and it's a shared venue, and that's why the work's going on. And great, as long as we get racing. If there's an opportunity for there to be another racetrack in Auckland with a lot of heritage to it, and I'm sure the parties involved will talk about how they can cross-pollinate, and maybe we can see bikes back on track, we can see super saloons back on track. I don't know, that's me pie in the sky stuff, but I'm actually feeling pretty good about it, and I want to find out more.
Little Trackside Lounge exclusive, little expose.
So what you're saying is there's more to come.
Oh, but I think
from you and from...
I think there's more information that has not been made public until now, and I think it's a really good opportunity for all the information to be laid out on the table the way it always should have been, and it could bode well for us. It could be good. I mean, I just want to see Speedway. I just want to see cars racing, because that's what I love.
Yep, no, you do, and for many, many years as well. And hopefully, the thing is, it's got to be something that's not just for 2026. It's got to be above and beyond. And with the population around there, I said, hey, look, you're not losing Speedway in Auckland, you're losing a venue. But if it can be done sustainably and there's a future for it, for people to not just feel good, but actually for it to be almost indefinitely. Like Waikaraka's got a 30-year lease, but there are clauses, and I understood that the Speedway coming to Waikaraka, all classes had to come and be absorbed into the venue. So, I mean, how it works out, hey, wait and see. But you heard it here first on the Trackside Lounge, so that's exciting stuff.
Now, there are other things. Nathan, you were talking about Hungary. And I've raced on that track. Of course he has. He does sim racing. So what's been happening in the sim racing world?
Well, I mean,
I've raced on that track.
I was driving Bathurst last week.
I haven't actually, Hungary is actually one of the few tracks I haven't actually raced. Like I've driven.
Yeah.
We've done we've done a bit of testing at Hungary, but we've never actually raced. It's, might have to amend that one for the 26 calendar. But, look, we'll see. This
could be edited out.
I was supposed to race there a couple Sundays ago, but I can't remember what ended up happening. We ended up going somewhere else. Anyway, enough about that. Obviously we're all head down, bum up prepping for South Africa, which is later this month. Kyalami, that's the 4 hours of Kyalami, now sponsored by Kamo Auto Parts.
Oh, so right.
Kamo have come on board and sponsored that race, which is massive. And also this week, Toyota Gazoo Racing have confirmed that the Academy Drive prize for this year's New Zealand Esports Racing Series is still up for grabs.
Oh, really?
Wow.
So that is massive. We are still looking for sponsors for that championship to make that happen.
Yep.
But, I mean, everything else. We've got the plans, we've got the calendar, we've got the grand prize, which massive thanks to Nico and the team at Toyota Gazoo.
And where we are today, we've got a GT4 car, and we've got a Toyota 86. It's almost like we rigged that, but maybe not be driving that one. But that's impressive.
I don't quite think it'll be that car, but look, we have everything planned. We've been doing this championship for a couple of years now, and the fact that Toyota Gazoo have not only seen it as a, hey, look, it's worth backing, but it's also worth offering a prize of that caliber. Like, we're not just talking about a fun drive, drive a few laps in a Toyota, oh, do you enjoy that? Sweet, good job, see you later. This is a proper academy drive.
Yeah.
If the winner drives the Toyota, gets tuition, they get to see their data, they get to see how they performed, and then if they do well enough, potentially they even get shoulder tapped to go on to the academy and to actually go on to the shootout, which then lands a spot in the champion. So there's a measurable, tangible pathway into real life motorsports just from sim racing.
But you see, and that's what I love. I mean, we talk about getting involved in motorsport at a grassroots level, and sometimes if you don't have the budget to actually put your own race car together to take it out on the track, so the only option for you to learn is sim racing, there is a real, genuine pathway through that into motorsport. Yeah. So, I mean, that's great. And I'm amazed you.
It's exciting.
Toyota Gazoo jumping on for that, and Kamo Auto Parts sponsoring the race coming up in Kyalami. That's awesome.
And can I do a shout out to Kamo Auto Parts that there is a 10% voucher as well. There's a 10% discount code. 10% discount code if you mention esports, and it's until September. And it's like you don't, whether you are involved with us or Hooncorp or esports or whatever, it doesn't matter.
And it's store-wide across their range. So anyway, little subtle plug there. But massive appreciation to the guys that have, and sim racing at the moment, it's still such a wild west. There isn't a hierarchy as such of this is where to go to race, the top tier as such. There are so many top tiers and there's so many, middle tiers. But what we're doing at the moment, we're building something pretty cool. And it's awesome to have these brands that, not only see the value in backing, but also actually supporting for years. Like Toyota Gazoo have been on board, for pretty much since the championship's inception.
And the thing about Toyota Gazoo New Zealand is that they are the standard in the open wheeling racing. They are New Zealand's premier class, and they keep upgrading and building those 86s. They're now into the next gen car, and I mean they are seen as new. So it's not just Toyota, it's Toyota Gazoo New Zealand, and I think even the Aussies are looking at the way New Zealand's doing things and saying, mate, we want some of that. And so that's a huge shout out and the capabilities of that very professional team. So again, well done to Toyota Gazoo New Zealand.
Now, before we step onto the next bit, a little bit of important news that I saw, and I was a little bit surprised at. D1NZ have announced their calendar.
Yes.
And on their calendar, Pukekohe Park Raceway.
It was very subtle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like there was no fanfare, there was no special announcement. It was just like, here's the provisional calendar, and it was, Bay Park and this place and Pukekohe and this place, and then you have all these people going, hang on a minute,
Pukekohe?
Hang on a minute. So look, that's curious. Is it out of the realms of possibility? I mean, certainly not. The track surface is still there, and I saw a few comments about people's, the facilities are all gone and the tyre bundles have all been taken away, but the drifting guys only use turn 1 through to the S's.
Turn 4,
right? So we're not talking the entire facility has to be up to super duper spec. The supercars aren't going to come back, right? But the fact that we've got, hey, look, if there's truth to the rumor, then awesome. Yeah. Obviously, it's a provisional calendar. It's still subject to revisions, but definitely the facility's sitting there. They may as well use it.
There's been funeral services there.
And it was the fastest entry in New Zealand drifting. So something like 200 Ks.
So here's what I'm postulating. I'm just postulating, and it's just an opinion. If we can get the D1NZ there, maybe link up the rest of the track and bring motor racing back to Pukekohe. I don't know.
I don't Radical ideas here on the Trackside Lounge.
Crazy stuff.
Nobody's trying to keep Pukekohe from going under. Nobody.
No.
But anyway, we'll see.
Autokhana.
Autokhana coming up this weekend. Yes, on Sunday, the 10th of August, and it's happening. We've got a grid. We've still got a couple of small spots there, but we're going to run the event. We're going to not have a problem. Last time we did it, we had to top it up a few dollars. It's supposed to be a break even, and we're almost at that point now. We're at the point we will break even. A couple of little things we'd like to obviously have along there, and a couple of prizes. But if we get another entry or two, that'll help. One defending champ at the moment. Won't say which car it is, but we've got a lot of defending guys that aren't there this time, so it's a good chance.
And a lot of newbies.
Yeah, a lot of newbies.
Obviously, people that haven't done one of our Autokhanas before, so who's to say where they'll fall on the timing sheets? But look, I mean, hopefully the weather's good. We'll sort of find out in a few days. You look too early in the forecast is kind of who knows, but you sort of get a bit more accurate. But we'll run it rain or shine. That doesn't scare us. And of course, Naughty Chef coming along to satisfy the fuel the people.
And Madsen's Coffee going to be there as well, which is great to have them on board. And looking forward to a great day. No charge to come and spectate. And if you find yourself from overalls, helmet, net, and you want to join the passenger seat, no charge for passenger, but you have to be in a roll cage car. So if there's someone there who's kind enough to let you sit beside them and you want to be part of the competition, you can certainly do so. But come along and spectate. Freebie through the door. And like you say, Naughty Chef there for the food and the Madsen's there with the coffee and looking cool. But what I'm really looking at, and as what even cooler, I've got to say, this place is pretty cool as well. Yeah. We're pretty lucky.
Yeah. We've been invited to do the Trackside Lounge from a very special garage. It's, as you can see, it's full of race cars. That's a Beamer. That's a Mercedes, the Toyota AE86 there. But over there, and this will bring some memories back for you, I believe it's a late 50s Hillman Minx over there. Check this out. So the place we're at today,
Hang on. What's happened to Nathan? He's changed somewhat.
this is the reason why we're here today. Deb Day, thanks for letting us into the garage.
No problem at all.
This is amazing. Now, before we get into you and your roles and that sort of thing, I want to ask about the Hillman Minx.
Yeah, so my dad has always been Hillman Hunters, Humber 80s and bits and pieces, and several years ago now I bought a Humber 80, but circumstances changed. I needed a set of bunks for my two daughters, so I sold Dad the Humber 80 for the bunks for about $80.
Yeah.
And he did he did the whole refurb on it. It's the most beautiful car you've ever seen. Fire engine red with the cream on her. I kept trying to swap the bunks back for the car, and it wasn't really working for me. So he and my grandfather found that one. And they picked it up on Christmas Eve and did all the work on it for me. And you'll see the caravan in the other corner, which was my grandfather's caravan. So we've had that painted the same colour as the Minx. So the idea is that we can cruise out with both of them.
It's a 57 Minx, right?
Yeah.
When you got it, still had the plastic on the back seats.
Yep, and the original engine in it, and Dad was absolutely determined that I was going to drive it around with the little 1300 style engine in it, until he had to drive it back one day because his car got a flat tyre, and suddenly we pulled that out and chucked in the 1724 with the overdrive, and it's now mint.
Just for a second, I thought you were going to say we chucked in the V12.
No. The brakes on that thing, they make you really appreciate all the safety features, and we now have in modern cars. You try and turn the steering wheel and you just about need the suicide spinner.
Oh man, they're crazy, aren't they?
All right.
Sorry.
So let's do the actual introduction. We're here in the presence of Deb Day. Now, Deb is actually the Motorsport New Zealand president, and I've known this character before she was blonde for many, many, many years. And you go back a long time in motor racing. Now, I actually thought in the early days, I first met her at Car Club Race Meets when I was part of a lap scoring team up in the double-decker bus at Pukekohe, and she was out there in the flag marshalling with her mum Anna, who's still flag marshals to this day.
Sure does, yep.
And we just sort of, we just clicked and got on and all this sort of stuff, and we've got so many stories. One we won't tell because that story is our story, but there's some really cool stories. And what's really been cool about, I thought you'd actually done competition in the past. I thought you'd done some driving.
Tiny bits and pieces, Autokhanas.
Yeah.
I was the reason the Auckland Car Club decided that parents couldn't be in the cars with their kids because I stalled the Hillman Hunter, flooded it completely. Dad wasn't necessarily so great with his patience as he is now. Now he's got grandkids and stuff. He's amazing. But back then, I think he expected me to be Ayrton Senna right off the get-go, and I actually walked home. We were at the Poanamo car park, and I walked home because I was done and left the car in the middle of the Autokhana course. So from there on in, Auckland Car Club says that you can't have your kid in the car.
Fair enough.
Which makes perfect sense. And I did some bent sprint stuff in the Hillman Hunter. Again, my fault. Apparently, I blew the spider gear. The fact that I was in it.
We're pre-qualified about you. You said you'd done nothing. This has all just come out. I've got tears in my eyes. Unbelievable.
So yes, Dad was racing it when the spider gear blew, but because I'd done a lap in it beforehand,
you'd obviously ruined them,
and I had to push it home. So yes, we've had a long history in the sport. I do point out to Dad a lot that racing Ray Williams actually started with Hillman Hunters, but he moved on.
Yeah.
He got to Porsches, and I'm still waiting for Dad to find his Porsche, but that's okay.
There's a lot of love for Hillmans out there.
Yeah, and a lot of love for racing Ray Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Too, to be fair. So you've come through the ranks of the flag marshalling with your mum.
Yep.
And like I say, Mum, Anna Scott, has been marshalling for
30, 40 years,
yeah,
maybe
wouldn't it? Yeah,
it'd be close to it.
Yeah, because she was she was a grunt many years ago at the beginning parts of the marshal. Then she became one of the chief marshals.
Yep.
And now, of course, with your guys' involvement with the Motorsport Club, forming the Motorsport Club.
Yep. Yeah, and Mum's still there teaching our new marshals as they come through. She jumps on we try and get her out of the elements now because she won't see this. She is getting older now.
What a great team the Motorsport Club is. I mean, the way you guys have formed that, I mean, everyone's, I think you're like a flame and all the moths come to it, because I don't know that, I'm sure people leave it eventually, but they seem to just grow and grow and grow. It's just say, and now your kids are in there as well.
Yeah.
As kids and now adults themselves. I mean,
when you look at the sport,
phenomenal.
Adam Simmons, who's now our chief clerk of the course, he was timekeeper for the Motorsport Club and for NZIGP before that. NZIGP took a wee bit of a break and now has come back to be one of our main promoters up here in the North Island. We just had our Motorsport Club Awards night on the weekend, 104 people at Mantell's on East Tamaki, Tamaki Drive, not East Tamaki. I've got daylighting him on the brain.
Had to have the sponsors plugged.
Advertising.
And just such a great night. Willard Martin, you've got Racing Ray Williams, who gives away a trophy, and just totally a celebration of all our team, grid marshals, flaggies, pit lane. It's just such a fun night.
So that's great. Now we've talked about everybody else. Now we come back to you. So you started and you got the Motorsport Club, big part of the officialdom there, obviously with Pukekohe and Hampton.
Yeah.
Now there's no more Pukekohe.
Yeah.
So with Hampton, I mean, how far a reach does the Motorsport Club actually have with you guys?
So we, as you said, we formed it 17 years ago now, I think, when Hampton Downs came on stream. So we started it when we had the 2 circuits running, and there was obviously going to be a shortage of people to run events. And yeah, it's just really gone from strength to strength. I'm having to step back a lot this year with taking on the presidency of the sport. There just really isn't enough hours in the day. And we've got a great team with Raywin and my daughters Caitlin and Shian leading the charge there, bringing that through and moving it forward.
That's a lot of female input into what traditionally is seen as a male sport. And a lot of people don't realise how many women are actually involved in the upper echelons of New Zealand motorsport.
Yeah, absolutely. Stewards, Clark, of course, Susie Tickle, Pukekohe Car Club. She's an amazing part of our stewarding team and helps run the club. You've got Fee who puts on events all the time. You see them out on the rally stages helping out whenever they can. There are so many women involved in every aspect of the sport. You walk into any garage now, you know, whether it's supercars or just a club day, and there's generally a lady under the car working on the spanners, doing a good job.
Or they're in charge of team management, you know, and actually making sure the thing is running.
Yeah, Kate Harrington, she's a Kiwi, you know, working in supercars, running a team now.
Yeah.
So there's some
Eve here with Team 18, which is good. Just seen her progress.
Monica Godemski with WAU. So the pathways are actually starting to work, and we're seeing stuff start to change and happen.
So I mean that's another thing is like traditionally, parents would say, well, girls really don't want to get involved in motorsport. Yes, you do. If you like driving, you like motorsport, get involved at any level and work your way up, because it's about the passion, isn't it, really, more than anything else?
And you know, even if cars, you know, you're kind of around the sport, it's not necessarily about the cars, it's about the people, it's about the event management, it's about actually putting things together and making it happen, whether you're into photography or talking about motorsport or, you know, whatever your gig is, there's something for everyone.
I like the way it's about the passion for it, you know, and it's just, it doesn't matter which level you get involved with, just get involved.
100%.
So about electric cars, how do you feel about that?
Get out.
Is it fair to say that Formula E is the only form of motorsport I watch with the sound off?
Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any noise anyway, does it?
But you're still going to cheer on the Kiwis, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, if I have to watch it, it is with the mute button on.
What's your favourite type of motorsport? If there was 3 or 4 different things on, say, supercars, Formula One, NASCAR, IndyCar, what would be the one that you, or rally, what would be the one that you'd have to watch?
I'd still be a supercars girl. I grew up with Bathurst, you know, and watching Peter Brock, Dick Johnson, all of those guys racing. So that's probably really where my passion lies. And to see Ryan Wood now there, and all the other Kiwi drivers. I mean, obviously we sponsor Ryan, so that's particularly personal. But just to see them doing what they do, and then, you know, prior to them, Scott McLaughlin and SVG, sort of, you know, it's always been really good. But probably my favourite form of motorsport now would be endurance racing.
Oh, really?
It's about more than one driver, and it's really team focused. So there's a lot of strategy in the background that you don't ever see play out, including, you know, when I might throw a safety car in race control, that completely can change the entire.
Just going to ask you a quick question here, because I've seen it sometimes. It's been suggested before that sometimes they throw out safety cars just to bring the field back together again. Is that true?
No, not that we have done. Years ago in the Utes, it was part of their regs that there had to be a safety car mid race.
Really?
And it used to drive me nuts. You just about want to throw something on the circuit to actually make it happen. But no, we do try not to do that. We understand completely that safety cars breed safety cars, and to be fair, it's a bit like match fixing, really, when you do something like that, isn't it?
Who says that? No.
Hey, I want to touch on, obviously I really want to talk about you, because I mean what you've been involved with. You're now El Presidente of Motorsport New Zealand. But I'll sort of go down a little bit of a different path. Recently we had a passing of a very close friend, Tim Miles, and, you know, not just Dale ITM, but as a personal friend to yourselves and you know, Brendon and guys like that. And I just want to shout out to that. I mean, we don't know how to do tributes to people, you know, in motorsport. We don't know, death is a terrible thing, you know, but in this case it was not a motorsport related death, it was a motorsport person that died. What about Sandown? I mean, what about that tribute? Can you just tell us a little bit about what went on there? Because, I mean, there's an interesting backstory. We actually highlighted it last week in the Trackside Lounge about the tribute. But just tell us a bit of a backstory about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Troy and the team at Melbourne Performance Centre were really keen to do something with the car and with Brendon. Simon and Brendon ended up flying down to Melbourne with a little bit of a push from Deb. Just trying to understand what your pace is and something like this sometimes can be a little bit difficult. Yeah. And obviously really, really emotional. Brendon missed the memorial service for Tim because he was racing, and Andy Mack and Trace and everyone told him to go because that's what Tim would have wanted, for him to continue racing. But he was able to come home here to New Zealand that week to be at Tim's burial with his family and close friends, which was just fantastic. And then got on a plane.
Now, Brendon almost didn't get on the plane.
Yeah,
what caused him to get on the plane? Because you were a bit of a psychologist there, weren't you?
Well, sometimes it's about understanding your pace and the program, and the opportunity to say goodbye to a mate who's been taken away under such stupid circumstances. If it had been part of the sport, we'd all understand it.
Almost
we're all still
acceptable,
trying to make sense of the fact that he's not here.
Just to bring in, if you're not sure what we're talking about, Tim was actually killed in a cycling accident on the road. It was just,
completely, left field, totally left field. Just raced at Le Mans, races Bathurst, races, fast GT3 cars, and gets taken out on a Sunday morning ride with his wife. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, somebody, please. So Brendon wasn't quite sure that he wanted to go down and be at the track without having something to do. Yeah. And I said, for goodness sake, you've got to get down there. There's only one person that can drive that car and do Tim's last lap.
Absolutely.
And, a shout out to Richard Crail and Greg Rust. What a fantastic job they and the team at SRO did in honouring Tim. That was just incredible.
And look, we showed the footage of the marshals taking off the hats. That wasn't scripted. No one knows how to do this. And what a fantastic tribute. And that was just so, if there's such a thing, it was beautifully done. And,
absolutely. I was just really grateful there was a bit of rain, because trying to get a GT3 car to do a donut on a good day.
How was the clutch?
Just very, very glad that we're not picking up the tab for that
one. So let's get back to you. So we've gone through the whole, you're not the greatest at motorcanas, you're good at wrecking diffs, you've got yourself you've been part of the formation of the Motorsport Club. Now tell us, what on earth possessed you? Been so busy with this Dale ITM, Motorsport Club, the whole motorsport thing. You got a son who's motorsport man. You got a husband who spends more money than he probably should getting out there as well. He can pedal, and then you're sitting there going, I need something else to do. And the Motorsport New Zealand presidency, what made you do that?
I think probably the best thing that happened was that I'd been on the board for a while, and then I took a year off because the way that the time zone was worked, it was my turn to stand down and have a breather. And that gave me a chance to sort of step back out of being internally focused and sort of see where the sport was going and what we were doing. If you want something done, give it to a busy person. So as I started talking to people, it was a case of maybe not something that I wanted to do, but I could see that potentially I was the right person for the time that we're in, and being able to put together that team with myself and then Wayne Scott coming in as interim CEO. What we've been able to achieve with the team at Motorsport House over the last 12 months has been crazy. And I'm really, really grateful for that. It's been a huge period of change for a lot of people, and that's always unsettling when you're working in the sport and things going on. We started with 11 staff, we're sitting at 5 now. We've got a new sporting manager starting in August, and we're still looking for one other person. So we think 7's about the right number for the size of our sport. But when you've got people resigning and moving on and things happening, it's incredibly unsettling, and the team at the office have done a fantastic job at just holding down the fort and keeping motorsport ticking over, which has been wonderful.
And so how do you feel about the future of New Zealand motorsport? How do you see the future of New Zealand motorsport developing?
We're so lucky. Like if you look on, and as you guys know, you've got a podcast about it, every weekend there's a Kiwi driver or 10 out there competing on the world stage and doing a fantastic job of it. They're our kids, they're the ones that, we're racing when I was waving a blue flag at them, or I've probably told a few of them off over the years as a clerk of the course.
Do you think they'll remember that?
Maybe. Just depends on whether they were really naughty or not. So we're part of their journey, which is really exciting. And with things like Drive to Survive, suddenly motorsport is actually something cool to be part of. You're seeing it with what Greg Murphy is doing with road safety. Motorsport has a part to play in that. Learning how to drive properly, learning skid control, understanding what to do if your car goes into a slide. All of those life-saving skills.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like
at club level.
And the stuff that we grew up with, when we learned how to drive, we actually learned how to drive. Whereas nowadays, it's almost like a piece of paper and that sort of thing. And it's still crucially important to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. When I learned how to drive, it was a rear-wheel drive manual gearbox.
Hillman Minx.
Yeah, exactly. Well, pretty much Hillman Hunter. But on a drive with Brendon, travelling down to Manfield doing our road trips, which been heaps of fun over the years. But he and I started talking about ABS. I'd never had a car that had ABS, nor had I been taught how to use it. So he was explaining it to me. So the one day that I put my foot on the brake and really needed to stop, and the pedal started jumping, like instead of panicking and lifting my foot, I stuck my other foot on it and we stopped.
Yep.
But without knowing that information and understanding what the safety features of your car do for you, you're just going to create a bigger accident.
Yeah, it's a crucial thing. But I'm enthusiastic about the future of motorsport, particularly when we see, as you mentioned, what's developing, but what's coming up in go-karts and things like that,
2 rounds of supercars now.
Yeah.
The hint of WRC. I mean, if wishing was waiting, the work that PJ's done trying to get that back to New Zealand, Hayden wanting to have another crack.
Yeah.
Emma and Hayden both rallying over in Australia and actually, doing a great job. There's just so much going on. And you can then see, come back to Formula Ford, the F1 to Formula Ford to Formula One powered by Rodin, we're seeing young kids coming out of karts and getting into Formula Ford, and it's just, the pathways are forming, and we're getting there.
Yeah. And it's great to see that sort of thing, because honestly, that's what it's all about. That's the reason why we do this Trackside Lounge thing. I'm a fan of motorsport. I'm not a driver in any way, shape, or form. And just to see the way it develops and see what's possible, and for people just to enjoy it.
Yeah, I love fast cars. I love driving, but I think over time, as a race controller and a clerk of course, I've seen too many drivers who are way better than me get it wrong. So I'd rather be on my side of the fence and actually managing it and having fun doing that than trying to prove something that I'm not,
Well, see, and that's the other aspect that people don't think about. There's 2 sides to it. If you're a driver, I mean, even Lewis Hamilton says he's not very good this week. Maybe he'll be going to clerk of the course or something like that. I don't know. But you can be involved in it anywhere.
Absolutely, and I think things, as like I said, touching back to the Formula One, the girls on track, F1 in schools. There's so many programs now with STEMs, science, technology, engineering and maths, where you can actually really see a pathway. When I went to school, I was supposed to grow up and be a secretary. Now my daughters could grow up and go and do, technical engineering on a supercar or Formula One team. It's just huge. It's so different.
Deb, thanks for having us here and inviting us up here. Can we come back at some stage?
Of course, anytime you like.
Excellent. That's Trackside Lounge for this week. We'll catch you next week. Oh, don't forget that Western Springs thing.